Welcome to the Internet Files. Today, we dive into one of the most chilling and enigmatic murder cases in modern history, the mystery of JonBenét Ramsey. A 6-year-old girl, a bizarre ransom letter, contradictory evidence, and suspicions that destroyed a family's peace. Almost 3 decades later, one haunting question remains: who killed JonBenét Ramsey? JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990, in Atlanta, Georgia. She was the daughter of JonBenét Ramsey and Patricia, Patsy, Ramsey, and had an older brother, Burke. The Ramseys were a wealthy and respected family, living a life of privilege and comfort. After relocating to Boulder, Colorado, they settled into a large 3-story home with 5 bedrooms and a basement, a home that would later become the scene of one of America's most infamous crimes. JonBenét was a bright, outgoing, and talented child, described by friends and relatives as charismatic and full of energy. She loved performing and was deeply involved in children's beauty pageants, where she won multiple titles and crowns, earning local fame and admiration. Her participation in pageants made JonBenét a public figure, appearing in photos, local news features, and videos. But this exposure raised serious concerns. After her death, the media would repeatedly use those same images, the glamorous outfits, heavy makeup, and stage smiles, sparking a national debate about the sexualization of children and whether that attention might have drawn a predator's gaze. For some, JonBenét's growing fame became the first possible clue to her tragic fate. John Ramsey, JonBenét's father, was a successful businessman, president of the computer company Access Graphics, and a man who had amassed a considerable fortune. Patsy Ramsey, her mother, was a former beauty queen, known for her charm, ambition, and perfectionism. Having survived ovarian cancer, she was admired for her strength and determination, though some saw in her a competitive streak that she projected onto her daughter's pageant career. Burke Ramsey, 9 years old at the time of the crime, was quiet and introverted, very different from his outgoing sister. To the outside world, they were the perfect American family. But what happened next shattered that image forever. On December 25, 1996, the Ramseys spent Christmas evening at a party hosted by their close friends, the Whites, in Boulder. According to guests, the evening was cheerful and uneventful. The family returned home around 10 p.m., where Patsy said she put JonBenét straight to bed before going to sleep herself. That was the last time JonBenét was seen alive. Reports later suggested that Burke remained awake, playing with toys, but there is no evidence he interacted with his sister again that night. At around 5:30 a.m., Patsy Ramsey claimed she discovered a 3-page handwritten ransom letter on the staircase while heading to the kitchen. The letter read in part,
"We are a group of individuals representing a small foreign faction. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. If you alert the authorities, your daughter will be beheaded."
The message was bizarrely specific, demanding the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent annual bonus, raising suspicions of someone familiar with the family's finances. Patsy immediately called the police, while John began preparing the ransom money. Officers arrived around 6 a.m., treating the incident as a kidnapping. But crucial mistakes followed. The police failed to secure the scene. Friends and neighbors, called by the Ramseys for emotional support, moved freely through the house, unknowingly contaminating vital evidence. At approximately 1 p.m., John Ramsey, accompanied by family friend Fleet White, decided to search the house again. Their search led them into the basement, to a small, windowless storage room, a room that, until then, had gone unnoticed. There, John found JonBenét's body. She was lying on the floor, covered with a white blanket. A rope was wrapped around her neck, duct tape covered her mouth, and a cord tied one wrist. Her skull had been fractured, and a wooden stick had been used to create an improvised garrote, an instrument designed to strangle. In a state of shock and disbelief, John lifted JonBenét into his arms and carried her upstairs, a heartbreaking act of instinct, but one that destroyed crucial forensic evidence. But this raised an unsettling question. If everyone believed JonBenét had been kidnapped, why search the house again? Why go looking in the very place she was presumed not to be? By 2 p.m., investigators officially shifted their focus from kidnapping to homicide, but the crime scene had already been fatally compromised. The ransom letter became one of the most puzzling clues in the case. It was written on notepaper from the Ramsey home, using one of the family's pens, suggesting that the author spent time inside the house, before or after the crime. It demanded $118,000, the exact amount of John's bonus, and was 3 pages long, unusually detailed for a ransom note. Forensic experts found similarities between the handwriting and Patsy Ramsey's, but the results were inconclusive. The tone of the note was theatrical, resembling lines from popular crime movies of the time, leading many to believe it was staged to mislead investigators. Even today, the letter remains one of the strangest and most debated pieces of evidence in modern criminal history. JonBenét was dressed in her nightclothes, and the autopsy revealed traces of pineapple in her stomach, suggesting she had eaten shortly before her death. But Patsy insisted JonBenét had gone to bed right after the Christmas party. A bowl of pineapple was later found in the kitchen, with Burke's fingerprints on it. If the motive was kidnapping, why was the body left in the house? This contradiction raised doubts about the ransom letter's authenticity, and whether it had been written to cover up another crime. JonBenét was found in a small, cluttered storage room in the basement. The room had no external exit and was used mainly for storage. She was lying on her back, covered by a blanket, with the garrote around her neck and duct tape over her mouth. A circular mark was visible on her neck, possibly caused by the garrote or another object. The basement showed minor disarray, but no signs of a violent struggle. The autopsy confirmed 2 primary injuries, a fractured skull and asphyxiation by strangulation. Both could have caused death, but it remains unclear which came first. Vague signs of sexual assault were also noted, including minor injuries to the genital area and traces of male DNA on her underwear. However, experts could not confirm that the abuse occurred the night of the crime. The DNA did not match any family member. The Ramsey home was large and complex, with 3 floors and a basement. This made the investigation challenging, as there were multiple access points and areas to search for evidence. A broken basement window initially suggested a possible intruder, but police later found no clear signs of forced entry. John Ramsey admitted that he had broken the window months earlier to get inside after losing his key, creating even more uncertainty. The Boulder police, inexperienced with major crimes, made a series of critical errors, failing to preserve the scene, allowing people to move freely, and mishandling potential evidence. Fingerprints were smudged, items moved, and crucial traces likely destroyed forever. The investigation soon focused on the Ramsey family. Police found their behavior unusual. Instead of cooperating directly, they hired lawyers and avoided police interviews. The Ramseys claimed they were being unfairly accused, saying they no longer trusted local authorities. This fractured relationship between investigators and the family derailed the entire investigation, leaving many questions unanswered. Why was the ransom note written inside the house? Was the killer an intruder or someone within the family? And if it was a domestic crime, why stage a kidnapping? Why did John search the house again if JonBenét was presumed to be kidnapped? In 2008, advanced DNA testing officially exonerated John, Patsy, and Burke Ramsey, suggesting an unknown male intruder. But other experts argued the DNA could be secondary transfer, meaning it could have come from contaminated surfaces or clothing during manufacture. The garrote was made from a nylon cord and a wooden stick, both found inside the Ramsey home, suggesting it was improvised at the scene. Its construction indicated some understanding of strangulation techniques, implying premeditation. The head wound, a severe skull fracture, was likely caused by a blunt object, possibly a flashlight or baseball bat found in the house. The order of events remains debated. Was JonBenét struck first, then strangled, or vice versa? Evidence suggests the garrote was used while she was still alive, but the blow to the head may have rendered her unconscious beforehand. Fibers from Patsy's sweater were found on the duct tape, though this could have resulted from accidental transfer when John removed the tape after finding her body. The autopsy confirmed pineapple residue in JonBenét's stomach, showing she had eaten shortly before her death. A bowl of pineapple with Patsy's and Burke's fingerprints was found in the kitchen. Patsy denied giving JonBenét any food after the party, leading to the theory that the girl woke up during the night, went downstairs, and encountered her killer, possibly someone she knew. From the start, suspicion centered on the Ramsey family. The ransom letter's handwriting showed similarities to hers, and fibers from her clothing were found on the tape. One theory suggests she lost control after JonBenét wet the bed, struck her in anger, and then staged the kidnapping to cover it up. Patsy denied all accusations until her death in 2006, insisting on her family's innocence. Some believe John discovered JonBenét's body after an accident or altercation and helped cover it up to protect the family. He maintains that police unfairly targeted them, ignoring the possibility of an intruder. At 9 years old, Burke's fingerprints on the pineapple bowl led to speculation that he accidentally killed his sister during a dispute, and the parents covered it up. He was cleared by investigators and, in a 2016 interview, denied any involvement. Several potential outsiders were also investigated. A 41-year-old teacher who confessed in 2006, claiming JonBenét's death was an accident after a sexual assault. However, his DNA did not match the evidence, and his story was inconsistent, leading authorities to dismiss the confession as false. A family friend who often dressed as Santa Claus and had visited the Ramseys shortly before the murder. He reportedly gave JonBenét a special gift before Christmas, and his wife once wrote a play about a girl murdered in a basement, fueling suspicion. However, there was no evidence linking him to the crime. A local man with a history of violence and child abuse, who lived near the Ramseys. He allegedly told a friend that he had hurt a little girl the night of the murder and was later found with a photo of JonBenét in his backpack. Despite this, his DNA also did not match the evidence. Some investigators believe the crime began as a botched kidnapping that turned deadly. Others think JonBenét may have been the victim of a serial killer who remains unidentified. But despite endless theories, none provide definitive answers. Each suspect brings plausible details, yet always with significant gaps. Every explanation leads to contradictions, leaving only uncertainty and speculation. The JonBenét Ramsey case remains one of the most infamous unsolved murders in modern American history. Every theory, every clue, opens new questions instead of closing old ones. Was it a tragic accident, a calculated cover-up, or the act of an unknown intruder? Nearly 3 decades later, the truth remains hidden in the shadows of that Boulder home. Follow the Internet Files for more deep dives into haunting mysteries. And remember, every mystery has a story, but not always an answer.